Rotary District 5150 is proud to offer another online learning and leadership development presentation, Community Service, Planning the Project, Finding Solutions for Your Community, the Need for Community Assessments, and Opportunities for Partnering in Your Community. Are these areas where you might need help? Learn where you can take your club in the realm of community service. We hope you find this presentation helpful.
Welcome to Rotary District 5150 and our Community Service Zoom session. We have 4 goals today. The first goal is to design a community service project in 6 simple steps, complete with an example, how to review your current club projects, how to set up a new community service project, and how community service can impact your membership, hopefully for the better. So to begin, let's look at the 6 simple steps in setting up a community service project. The first goal is that you should try to align your project with one of the 6 areas of focus that we currently have in Rotary International. There is no requirement that you align a community service project up with an area of focus. However, it is a great way for any club to keep continuity going and to try and keep us in sync with what is happening in the international world and global grants. It's important to notice at this point that we do have a 7th area of focus. This particular area of focus in supporting the environment that an awful lot of people have worked long and hard to see come to fruition, this actually does not go into effect until July 1st, 2021. However, between now and then, clubs are more than welcome to do any kind of a community service project around supporting the environment. The environment itself as an area of focus primarily impacts the global grants. And again, that doesn't take effect until July 1st, 2021. But until then, all clubs are free to do what they wish to do with local community service projects. The next step in the project life cycle is to perform your community assessment. It's quite wonderful to have a new idea come in. As an example, teacher mini grants. Let's say that you have a newer member in your club. They want to do teacher mini grants. If you contact your local teachers organizations and find out that these needs have already been met, it doesn't make a great deal of sense to put in time, effort, money, etc., to produce another project that's when the need is already being met. There are plenty of needs that are not being met that our local Rotary clubs can fulfill. So you need to do a community assessment to make sure your project is truly needed so it will be maintained down the road. Next, you need to develop your funding. How are you going to pay for this project? If it's a small project, it's quite possible that you can pay for it with your current funds, that you need no special fundraising at all. If it is not a small project, or if it's greater than your own facilities, then you might have to do a new fundraiser developed exclusively for this project. Now, one caveat here, a great way of increasing the funds that you raise through community fundraising is to share with the community that the proceeds from this particular fundraiser will be going to this particular community project. That being said, add the caveat that you will support this community service project and other Rotary projects. That enables the complete and total transparency that we all wish to see throughout Rotary International, but it does give you the flexibility. If the worst case scenario happens and you raise far more money than you need for the project at hand, this gives you a legitimate, ethical, and transparent method of using the excess funds for other projects. Next step up is to measure your success. You are best measuring your success and determining how you're going to guarantee your success as you're developing your project. If it's a project such as you're going to give a dictionary to every student in your 3rd grade in your particular area, that's relatively simple. You find out how many students you have, you give each one of them a dictionary. If you have 300 students, you give out 300 dictionaries. Success, 100% success rate, you're good to go. Your best bet is to figure out how you're going to measure your success before you start the project. If you don't know where you're going, how are you going to know if you got there? Another critical part is to evaluate the sustainability. If your project is to paint a community library and you paint the library, you're done. There's no real need for sustainability. However, if your project is something that is going to be ongoing for any number of years, how are you going to evaluate the sustainability? How are you going to maintain sustainability? How are you going to keep the continuity of the funding? All of these are elements that need to be determined up front. Finally, and equally important, thank anybody and everybody who had anything to do with the project. I'm old-fashioned enough that I still believe you need to send out written thank you notes. And by all means, celebrate the success with everybody that had a hand in the project. Your club members, your partners, the recipients. Thank everybody, celebrate everybody, put it on your social media, put it on local media, put it on TV, newspapers, radio, wherever you can get it. Celebrate what you have done, let the community know. Take a moment to brag. Now, on your current projects, I strongly encourage everybody to review your current projects. A lot of clubs aren't even really sure what projects they are still doing. When were your projects last reviewed? Who did the review? What were the results? Was it something you looked at it 5 years ago and said you want to look at it again in a couple of years? In the last 3 years, you've just kept going on it? Are your projects still relevant? Are they still necessary? Are they still useful? Has the original need been fulfilled? Did you successfully work yourself around a problem with your project, and you solved the local problem? Do you still have ample and appropriate funding sources? Nothing wrong with evaluating anything and everything that you are doing. It's strongly encouraged. Keep in mind, some of your projects may be sacred to some of your members. There is absolutely nothing wrong with and everything right with taking into account the feelings of your members who may have put a great deal of their own time, effort, and funding into keeping these projects, getting them going, and keeping them going. Always remember to take care of your fellow Rotarians. That's part of service above self. If you feel that you need some outside help to look at your projects to determine if these really make sense for the entire club, a great neutral way of doing that is to utilize our district visioning. If you have questions or would like to investigate the use of our visioning team at the district level, just get in touch with me and I will put you in touch with the right people and we can move you forward on a visioning. So now let's talk about how to develop a new club project. There's always the question, where do you find the ideas? Easy way, your new members. When you bring in a new member, quite often they're going to come to your club because they are passionate about something that makes sense to them that they want to do. So your new members are a great source. Your speakers. Quite often our speakers will come to our clubs to talk about a project they have going. They will come to us with their hands open and their wallets wide open, hoping we can pay for their projects. We do not want to be seen as the bank for the community. We would prefer to be seen as us looking outside of our own wallets and looking for OPM, which is defined as other people's money. So if a speaker comes to you with a tremendous project, possibly you can partner your club and the speaker's organization and come together with something that makes sense for both of you. Member visits to other clubs. There's a new acronym in Rotary, it's R&D. That's rip off and duplicate. It is amazing what all of our clubs in our districts and throughout the entire Rotary world are doing. And one of the best methods of getting new ideas for your club is to have your members visit other clubs, see what they are doing, and bring those tremendous ideas back home to our own clubs. Our district learning and developments, the training sessions such as this one, and once we get past COVID, when we get back into person to person, we've got our assembly. The networking throughout Rotary will give us all tremendous new projects, ideas, motivation. Same thing with district conferences and Rotary International conferences, where you can have 500, 600, 700 different booths for Rotary action groups, fellowships, clubs, districts, projects, vendors. If you haven't been to an international, I strongly encourage you to go to one. It will blow your mind as to how many different possibilities and projects you can find. So let's take a new project example and developing a new project in your club. So where do you start? We're going to start with RCAT and SRAG, the Rotary Climate Action Team, which is taking off like wildfire within our district, and SRAG, which is the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group. We're going to take a project from them. So let's say we want to find out from our own club what kind of a project we want to do in our own club. So this project, through RCAT and SRAG, maybe we can do table tents for every table once we get back to meeting in person. And in person on the table tents, we tell each table to come up with an idea for what that table thinks we ought to do on a community service project, something to do with the environment. You tell your club members we're going to take all these ideas and take them back to our community service committee / RCAT committee. And after 3 months, we're going to have these committees select the best idea. So what you are doing here, you're soliciting ideas from your membership. You're looking at your funding, the funding for scratch pads for ideas and table tents to foster the thinking about this. That's rather minimal. I'm pretty sure that clubs can afford to pay for those. You've got the sustainability dependent upon what team comes up with the best action. You've got the development of that action, and then you take that action forward. You have yourself a new project. There's nothing wrong with getting your club members involved in developing a project. There's everything right in that. So let's take a look at the membership angle and how can community service help with membership. It's relatively well known that community service is the biggest draw Rotary International has to recruiting new members. The biggest reason a new member joins Rotary is they want to give back to the community, and by community, the newer members, they mean the local community, not the international community. So if you have a strong community service committee going with a lot of community service projects going constantly, this is a tremendous draw to new members and a great way to keep them. When you have a new member come into your club, I encourage the community service chair and the club president to sit down with that new member, find out what that member is passionate about, and turn that passion into getting the new member into a committee. My guess is you're going to find quite often the new member is going to be most interested in community service. Great way to get a new member active immediately, and an active member is a retained member. The environment itself, the 7th Avenue of focus, we firmly believe is going to be very attractive to our younger potential members and to retention of our younger members. You can also use your senior members as part of a mentorship program. If you have a senior member whose pet passion was a community service project that has seen better days and is now being discontinued, this is a great place to grab that senior member and put them with one of your newer members in a mentorship program. All of these, anything that keeps your members active and interested, leads to retention. Retention leads to stronger membership, and it all comes together. So to review what we've covered here today, we talked about designing a community service project and the 6 steps involved. We discussed how to review your current club projects, why to review them, and especially to take care of your members. How to initiate a new community service project. And finally, how all of this ties together into strengthening your membership in all of our clubs, which is always an ongoing problem, challenge, and here's some potential helpful solutions. Further questions, contacts, anything, if you'd like more information about anything we are doing, there's my contact information. And with that, thank you all very much for attending. It's greatly appreciated.